It all started in Oaxaca, Mexico. I love, like a lot of people, like traveling,
Okay.
and I have a very special place for the Spanish language and for the people and the food and the culture and the music. Did I say the music yet? I don't think I did. So uh, I've traveled to not too many places in South and Central America, but ended up my most recent trip was in Oaxaca, Mexico,
Okay.
and it was incredible. I was there for Dia de los Muertos, and then from Oaxaca City, I flew to the small little beach town, Puerto Escondido. It's right on the coast, and
Mm.
it's this really small little town, sandy beaches, streets aren't paved. There's very few people. You can get pretty lost there and don't know where you are, but you'll find where you are very soon because it's not that big.
Uh-huh.
And I was just sitting on the beach one evening as the sun was going down. It was golden hour, and it's these really bright colors. And a lot of the stuff that I write, nature is kind of a muse for me. And so this song kind of originated in that golden hour moment. This is incredibly beautiful. What can I write to lyrically paint this picture?
Sun goes down, twilight found us sitting on the beach. Another day, miles away, and I can't wait to fall asleep with your sunburned skin next to mine, and the windows open wide while the ocean air ripples through your hair.
All right, I want to officially welcome you, Francois Klark, to Public Conversations. We're here in Toronto. We talk to artists across the country about their musical journey, current projects, and things they have going on. So welcome, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Effie.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so I see that on your profile you put South African born and then Canadian. I think I just wanna because I am African myself, originally from Nigeria, so that caught my attention first, and I want to say why is that important for you to highlight?
I think it's so important where you're from. It's such an incredibly large part of who you are. This is probably going off the beaten track way too early in this conversation, but I once heard somebody saying, just purely because you're born in that place, it means the water, the food, all that stuff is so, it kind of sounds like very hippie, but part of your biology. So in one way, like that place is so responsible for your makeup.
Hmm.
And then on like the next level is just the culture, the people, all that stuff. And I think it's so important to stay connected to that. And when I moved to Canada, I had to request from the South African government whether I could retain my South African citizenship and have
Hmm.
dual citizenship. And
Yeah.
if they said no, I don't know whether I would have accepted.
Mm.
I don't know. It's a tough question because with having a Canadian passport is so easy. I'm sure, as you know, it's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much easier to
absolutely.
travel the world.
Absolutely.
And with a
Absolutely.
South African passport, it's a little harder, and you have to apply for visas everywhere you go. But just on a heart, like just I don't know. I don't think I would have been able to give that up.
Yeah, no, no. So as soon as I saw that, I'm like, okay, there's a place where me and this super talented guy meet, right? There's a place we bond just from a location type place, and I'm really so excited to talk to you about that. But I'm curious though, so I'm gonna come to the sound that I think you have crafted so well on this record, but nothing in your bio quite tells me about your influences. I want to know at what point did you get acquainted with music, and who were the people who shape what you would consider? I know you must have been refined over the years to this point, but who were your first influences that you listened to?
I definitely say my mom and my dad turned me on to music.
Gotcha.
Music was in the house. They were very musical. Grandma's baby grand piano got passed on to us, and that was standing in the house, and that's where my love for songwriting kind of came from. But the
Mhm.
first time where I kind of was aware of an artist that blew me away was when my sister came home from high school, and I was still in elementary school, and she said, "Hey, you got to listen to this," and it was the Miss Education album by Lauryn Hill, and so that was one of the first ones. I was like, man, I want to do that when I grow up. And then shortly after that was Erykah Badu. And then taking a wild turn from there, after that was Dave Matthews' Before These Crowded Streets album.
Mhm.
And then from that point on, like all throughout my childhood, it was choir, singing in South Africa and all the different choirs, traveling all over the country with the choir in a bus every single weekend and singing with different choirs. Uh, and then more recently, I'd say uh, artists that kind of influenced me for this project and maybe my debut album as well. For the writing, like I said before, Dave Matthews. That's like as far as the songwriting is concerned.
Mhm.
And then obviously Lauren's influence stayed, the vocal influence. And then producers like Labyrinth. He's a producer from the United Kingdom. I don't know.
I do know him. Of course. Of course. Of course. Come on.
He's just a magician, man. When it comes to sounds and pushing buttons and playing all the instruments and
Yeah, yeah.
just his voice. But
Uh-huh.
I'm so inspired by his production. And then there's another producer in the UK yet again. It's all these UK artists.
Mhm.
I don't know how to say his name. I think it's Lido or Lido. He
Okay.
leans a little bit more towards the electronic side of things. Incredible producer. And then there's this singer-songwriter. His name is Nick Wilson. Again, I,
A UK artist?
there's some just amazing stuff coming out of the UK. So yeah, that's like a little snapshot. But you know what? I love music like so many people, and I don't have a very specific. This is the type of genre. I grew up with classical music and choral music and that kind of stuff. So I'm a big fan of all that classical stuff. And then hence for this record and the previous record, the heavy string arrangements that's all over the thing. And then
Mhm.
when it comes to the electronic production, some of the guys that I just mentioned to you. So yeah, like definitely borrowing from everybody. I don't know. We're all creative, but it's because we heard something somewhere else and we loved it, and we go, oof, let's
Absolutely.
sprinkle a little bit of that, sprinkle a little bit of this.
No, but I think the artistry comes in when you are able to make it uniquely yours. But you mentioned Lauryn Hill and you mentioned Dave Matthews Band, people who I, greatly admire. But I think as you spoke about Lauryn Hill, I can hear where the soul comes from, because when I close my eyes and I'm listening to you, it it doesn't sound like a conventional pop record that you hear on the album. There's that soulfulness in your voice. Now, so you've mentioned a ton of UK artists right now, and I think when I was listening to Paper Planes, it took me back to Corinne Bailey Ray. Do you know? Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
like, her first album, she did things in that album that I kind of like. Your record was taking me back there, but it was sonically different. But that's just I think just from the honesty and just sincerity that comes with what you're able to do with music. I think I first heard it when I heard Corinne Bailey Ray do her first album, and yeah, I'm like, okay, this is just remarkable. So I bring that up because you have mentioned a ton of UK artists right now, and I wasn't so far from the mark, because that's kind of like a huge influence on you as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's not like I'm seeking, it's not like I'm Googling UK artists. It just happens.
I
There's
know.
just this, there's just a sound that's coming out of there that for some reason resonates with me.
Of course, myself as well. So, okay, does I look at your bio and it's just the time wouldn't allow to go through all that you've achieved. So I'm gonna.
It's only because I had a strict talking to for my publicist.
No, I am going to find a way to get you on a different platform. But for now, let's talk about Paper Planes. Whew, boy, that's a good one, bro. I want you to tell me where the inspiration for that song came from. I know it's part of your larger body of work, but how did that song get created?
It all started in Oaxaca, Mexico. I love, like a lot of people, like traveling,
Okay.
and I have a very special place for the Spanish language and for the people and the food and the culture and the music. Did I say the music yet? I don't think I did. So I've traveled to not too many places in South and Central America, but ended up, my most recent trip was in Oaxaca, Mexico.
Okay.
And it was incredible. I was there for Dia de los Muertos, and then from Oaxaca City, I flew to the small little beach town, Puerto Escondido. It's right on the coast. And it's this really small little town, sandy beaches, streets aren't paved. There's very few people. You can get pretty lost there and don't know where you are, but you'll find where you are very soon because it's not that big.
Uh-huh.
And I was just sitting on the beach one evening as the sun was going down. It was golden hour, and it's really bright colors. And a lot of the stuff that I write, nature is kind of a muse for me. And so this song kind of originated in that golden hour moment. This is incredibly beautiful. What can I write to lyrically paint this picture? And so I thought, well, I'm going to need a story. So I came up with this story of two lovers that's in this little town, and it's only them. There's nobody else. Time doesn't matter. They're just, getting lost in the streets late at night. And so pretty much the lyrics, what the lyrics are saying is just kind of telling the story about these two lovers. It's just the two of them, and nothing else matters.
Got you. So I listened to it very intensely, and I'm like, at the point where you mentioned Paper Planes, I'm like, why did Francois title this song Paper Planes? So I'm like, it comes in like almost in the, at the bridge somewhere, and it wasn't even part of the first and the second verse, but why Paper Planes?
In my personal life, I think paper planes, like an actual little paper plane, has come up so many times for special things. Whenever there's something special that happens, it just so happens that somehow there was a little paper plane involved. Like in a relationship once, like told somebody that I love them by writing it on a little paper plane, or little things like that. So I thought, oh, that's a nice image that I can use. And then since the upcoming album is titled Adventure Book, and it's about, most of the stuff that I wrote on this record is about thinking back to memories that I had while I was in different places in the world, working with or meeting different people, or, all these different things. So I thought, okay, here's a mode of transportation that kind of echoes that wanderlust spirit. And it was just a nice image, like a piece of paper that you can write stuff on, and then you can send it to someone or just send it into the world. And I thought, oh, this is kind of nice. So writing, because that specific lyric is, let's roll paper planes, write on them all the names of the places that we want to go one day. Now I'm paraphrasing my own song.
Yeah.
and I just kind of really liked that image and thought, okay, that should be the song title. I never really think about song titles at all. Like when I have an idea for a song, I start writing, and then the first thing is kind of the placeholder, and it always kind of seems like I'm too lazy to go back to the title and change the placeholder title, and it just ends up being this single word title.
No, but that's remarkable, and I say that because it harkens back to being a songwriter and being able to use words to your advantage. Because when you listen to the song itself, although it is simple in the message that it's trying to convey, but you also find this very I shouldn't say very, but you find an elevated type of language as well, right? I think.
Thanks.
Slightly after you say paper planes and write our names, you say promises around our fingers, and that was so visual. I'm like, is he talking about a wedding ring? Is he talking about a band? And I'm like, but that's the beauty, and that's why what I love about lyricists, right? That they're able to take hold of the English language or whatever language they're writing in, and make it do their bidding, right? And just so apart from the music itself, just the words that you're able to use to convey a certain type of emotion, I think is remarkable as well. So that's what I also found fascinating about this particular record.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I feel like it's so easy to kind of write stuff at face value, but I find it kind of as a nice little extra layer or challenge to be able to say or to talk about everyday things without directly maybe referencing them.
Gotcha.
And sometimes you write a song and songs are just crappy. Just write crappy songs. I think I heard Stevie Wonder once say that he writes a song every single day, not for the purpose of having a lot of songs, but to be able to practice songwriting.
Gotcha.
And so, like you try, sometimes it's just horribly cheesy, and then you're like, nope, that's not going to see the light of day. So no to those lyrics.
But it's I guess it's the law of averages, right? Out of many, you get to stumble upon that one that's golden, which I think Paper Planes is. How long did it take you to write that song?
Most of the songs on this record, uh, you know, they kind of happened a little bit quicker than before, and I think
Hmm.
because of the time period that has just preceded "Who Shall Not Be Named," uh, in the past 2 years, where at the very beginning, we didn't have much to do. Like the whole world didn't know what was going on, and so work told you to stay at home, and everybody else said don't go, don't buy bread, and don't come here and leave all the toilet paper at home, or just we nobody knew what the heck was going on. So that was such a good time to kind of just slide in behind the piano and start writing. And it was so much easier to write because there was nothing else on your mind, nowhere else
Hmm.
that you had to go. So the process of writing was so much faster. Uh,
Gotcha.
I'd say, Paper Planes was maybe a couple days. I've only once in my life been able to write a song within a couple hours where I was
Hmm.
super happy with it. But a lot of times, I spend a couple days on it and come back to it. And other times you wrestle with a song for months and it just
Hmm.
doesn't go anywhere. And then a couple years later, go back to it. But Paper Planes was actually, maybe 2 or 3 days.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
not full days, just going back to it and
No, no, I hear you. But it also says here a very interesting fact that it was written on your old Yamaha harmonium pump organ, and I listened to it because it also talks about the creaks and all of that. So I listened to it in my headphone, and I could actually hear it when the song ends. You could hear the creak in the piano, right, in the organ. I mean, how important was it for you? So why did you choose to have that kind of sound effect left in with the recording and all of that? Why did you want to do that?
so I actually wrote the song on grandma's grand piano, but the
Okay.
whole the recording process all happened on this old Yamaha harmonium organ.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it was really important to me just because I love coming from a singer-songwriter's perspective. I love that very close connection that the writer has with the instrument that they're writing on. So whether it's somebody writing a song on the guitar or whether it's you're writing on the piano, and so in all my music, I I wanted, have that relationship present. So the voice, the songwriting, and the instrument that was written on very present. And then have
Mhm.
all the other stuff that I like, all the electronic production, all that stuff kind of interweave with it. So having that marriage between organic and electronic and bringing those two worlds together. Um, because the song is such a vivid picture, kind of telling a story about this almost like a movie,
Yeah.
if you like, kind of like a scene in a movie.
Mhm.
I I wanted it to have this, like you're thinking back, you're remembering, and uh, just the reverence and kind of like just not much going on, but just this little moment right here, and nothing
Mhm.
says just this and just this moment to me as a little bit of silence, and you could hear like creaks and cracks. So everything that
Yeah.
kind of happens in
Yeah.
the room,
Yeah.
and this instrument was so beautiful,
Mm.
super old organ, and
Mhm.
literally as you pump the foot pedals, it's just creaking, and the tactile noise of the keys, the whole thing was just making so much noise. And so my buddy Justin Gray, who owns a studio, Synthesis Sound, here in Toronto,
Okay.
he actually works a lot in world music, and I did the organ recording with him. So he engineered that session, and he went to town on the miking of this organ. Uh, we had pencil mics, we had all kinds of mics, but we mic'd, or he mic'd the pedals so you could hear the creaks of the pedals. He mic'd the tactile noise of the keys, and then he mic'd the billows as well so you could hear those. So it was just a little organ and me surrounded by this choir of
Mhm.
microphones all around me so that we could really capture those sounds. And then the producer, Sean Wharton, he's a producer in Vancouver. He's with a
Okay.
band called On Planets, and he then took some of those isolated microphones with the cracks and creaks and worked it into the electronic
Mhm.
production, like kind of
Mhm.
sampling those and building the
Mhm.
the the like the beat.
Yeah, yeah. It's so it's such a moment. I think you used that word just now, but the song, it almost feels like you're levitating. I ask artists all the time that when you envision a song, when you start writing, and when it's done, when it's EP ready or album ready, how close do you come to that stuff that you envisioned? For you, when the song was done, was it the same as when you were thinking about the concept? Did you have all of this very dreamy and, really orchestral type of stuff happening when you were envisioning what the end product would be?
So I'm pretty precise on what I want. So when I start writing a song, I immediately, because I'm, in that moment while I'm writing, I immediately feel that emotion and I can see the images. And so I know exactly what it is that I want in that moment. So on my side, well, I'll quickly get my songwriting book for you, and then you'll see.
Okay.
So on the one side, I have, I was just working on something a couple of days ago. And so on the one side of the page, so this is just something else. Here I have the
Yeah.
chords and the lyrics, and then here in this side corner over there, I
Uh-huh.
have what I'll tell you what I wrote for this one. So this one said folk singer songwriter, pop electronic, pop dance, string swells and verse, and then I have some artist names. So Mnek, pop vocal production,
Hmm.
Dermot Kennedy, gospel choir hums. Continue with the verses in the choir, a little stompy study, a little bit Mumford and Sons. You just little
Wow.
code words, just
Yeah.
so I know exactly this is kind of what I had in this moment. And then, so you do have a vision, or at least I have a vision and a concept for it as I'm writing it. But
Hmm.
always, by the time you get to the end of it, and especially if you've kind of collaborated with some people, like collaborating with Sean Wharton on the production and with the recording engineers that I worked with, as soon as you have other people in the mix, things just elevate beyond what you could have imagined. Like
Yeah.
two heads are better than one. I don't know if that's just
Absolutely.
a South African expression, or we have this one where like two heads in one hat. And so it always kind of ends up just a little beyond what you could have imagined, thanks
Uh,
to outside influences by the people that you work with, or yeah.
No, it's great. It's great. Whew, I don't know what other adjectives I could use for this, but it's almost like the movie Inception, right? You listen to it, especially because I was listening on my headphone, but it almost like it brings time to a standstill, and you're just there for that 2 3 minutes, however long the song is, and then when it does end, it feels like time continues again. And I think that's just being able to execute that is, I think it's a work of art, like I said, and it was brilliantly executed. So, congratulations, 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 Francois. I think, you've put out a really incredible record here, bro.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So it dropped on Friday, September the 24th. It's available to listen to on all platforms, I suppose.
Yeah. So you can listen to it wherever you are in the world. Like if you're in Europe, on Deezer or Spotify or YouTube or iTunes, anything that you can think of, it's there. And then the music video also just came out last past Friday, October 8th. Are we? We're like way past that now.
No, but yeah, but just run me through the process of getting that music video shot. Was it also shot in the same place the song was written? I think I read that. Was it shot in Mexico as well?
That's what I would like you to think. So the studio stuff, the like the indoor stuff that we shot, like all the performance stuff with me on the organ and the strings, that was all
Yeah.
shot in Hamilton at Evil Empire Studios.
Okay.
Beautiful new studio that they're building there. So it's just at the moment it's just the outside, and then all the guts has been ripped out, and it's just this beautiful open industrial space.
Gotcha.
And then all the outdoor stuff was uh, shot somewhere with that you might think is Puerto Escondido, but I won't say where.
Okay, but there's a scene where you're in the middle of smack down in the middle of a road though. Like, how did you guys cordon off traffic? How did you guys pull that off?
Really, really late at night. So we probably arrived at that location around 1 o'clock in the morning. And to start, it's like a very, very small town. It's these little
Okay.
farm roads, and so kids don't do that. there was like a little bit of, a little bit of being worried at the beginning, but into like the second hour of shooting in that location was like, okay, there's never going to be a car. There was not a single car that came by, but you could also see all the way down the road in all three ways because it was at a T.
Intersection. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And there was not a single car that came by
Yeah.
all night.
And then
And
sorry, go ahead.
we kept things really quiet as well. Like the playback was really quiet, and the organ, luckily, like if you don't pump it too much, like it's not that
Mhm.
loud, so I could
Mhm.
quietly play it. And obviously, for music videos, you just lip sync,
Yeah.
so we try to keep it really quiet. And yeah.
And I'm like, Francois is so cool and calm and collected right in the middle of a road at night. I'm like, what?
I should have told you it was a highway just north of Toronto. Every 5 minutes we had to move the whole setup. But no, it was super chill, but still nobody should do that. It's really irresponsible. That was not a great teaching moment from me for everybody else.
No, we'll chalk it up to the arts, man. The things we do for art, right?
Yeah. We'll just say that we had a team that were blocking the roads on all sides, but that would be the same size of a lie about like shooting it in Puerto Escondido. So.
Got you. It's just our little secret here, man. I love the video as well. I think the visuals they do justice to what the lyrics bring to the song. I don't know what else to say, bro. I want to say massive congratulations, man. I have thoroughly enjoyed listening to the song. It's on my playlist now. It's a favorite of mine. We're gonna point people to it. And what's up for the future? What's next?
So at the moment, I'm still working on a couple of the songs for the record that's coming out next
Okay.
year, and as I'm working on the songs that's finished being written, I'm writing new things and thinking, oh, maybe I should kick that one off the album and put this one on instead. So that's kind of what's happening at the moment, and then just working on marketing some of these singles right now, and then come release of the record next year, I would love to go on the road and just play a couple shows, not big, so maybe just taking that setup of some computer tracks with a little bit of electronic production, but then
Mhm.
having the harmonium or keyboard and a couple strings with me, and just taking that small ensemble on the road to play a couple places. I would love to play Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, Buffalo, some other spots in New York, and then if things work out, and I'm so thankful for Factor, I should just give them a shout out as well. Factor has been so incredible with the creation, and the government of Canada and making this record possible. And they have a little bit of a touring grant, so hopefully be able to use that to go visit some other countries that's been so supportive over the last 3 or 4 years of my music. So maybe hoping to go to Norway, Germany, the UK, and then at some point in my life, would love to also just make it to the other side of the world and go to the Philippines and Thailand, because there's a little bit of stuff over there. So thinking about that, how to plan that all out, but that would definitely be in the works. Yeah, that's kind of what's on the short list of things that's happening right now.
Oh my God. So I'd pay to see you, bro. I'd pay a lot of money to see you. I think that you're just remarkable, and I couldn't be more excited to have found your music and found your stuff. We're supporters right now. We're going to continue to be. Just massive congratulations. We're going to keep an eye out for when the album drops. But I can only imagine just what you're going to be able to do on that album, based off of the single and all the stuff that you've done so far. So I will be looking out for that. But I want to say congratulations again. We're going to point people to this record, and also as time goes by, we'll point them as well to the album. But thank you so much for your time, Francois.
Thank you, Effie. Appreciate it so much to be on the show today. Thank you.
Awesome. Have a great rest of your night, and we keep talking, bruv.
And you as well. Cheers.
Take care.